Hi, I'm Tharmini.
And I'm Victor Chong.
This is Real Estate, where we look back at some of the interesting property news in the past week. Now, let the reel begin. Victor, what's your pick?
Well, folks, last week you have the police arresting a man by the name of Datuk Nurul Iman Rahman over fraud allegations involving millions of ringgit. He is also known as Boy Iman and is the director of DBI Properties. According to investigation, the company offered houses to buyers at below market prices, around RM 60,000 ringgit for a bungalow. Wow!
60,000 ringgit for a bungalow? Sign me up, bro.
Not so fast, Tharmini.
Just kidding. Coming back to the point, like all housing scams, these houses were not built after the payment were made by the buyers.
According to Federal Commercial Crime Investigation Director Commissioner Datuk Seri Akrilsani, police investigation has received over 210 reports regarding this fraud involving house sales by the firm and Syarikat Juta Kelulut Global Resources. Losses suffered are estimated to be around RM 6.8 million. The suspects were remanded for 2 days. Guess we won't be seeing them for a while.
Sadly, the main reason behind these housing schemes is the desperation of the lower income people. We called up Datuk Chew Yin Kin, the director of iWajib Group, to further elaborate on this issue.
Those people who are from the lower income group, not the middle income group, the lower income group, which they need a house, but they couldn't buy it because of supply is low. And everybody is chasing after the affordable homes. So, to me, this group of people, they are neither the poor, but neither they are in the middle class. When there is a real estate scam, means the demand is very high and the supply is very low. And normally, this kind of housing scam is only happen to affordable housing. Or sometimes we call it low-cost housing.
Thank you, Datuk Chew. Take note that such scams are only successful if buyers aren't performing their due diligence. Make it simply, most buyers are unaware, too trusting, or merely negligent.
It would never be too much to be aware of the scammers waiting out there for their next prey. Ignorance may be blissful, but it could also cost you millions of ringgit. Apparently, there are some housing scams we should watch out for. Firstly, the people who approach you with some easy shortcuts claiming that they have connections in the property industry. Always be aware of words such as fast and easy.
Yes, you should also be aware of people who are agents of properties overseas, for example. It's better for us to deal with developers instead of agents when it comes to foreign developments. Same goes for uncompleted properties. Dealing with developers is always the best choice. Besides, these scammers usually bait people using low-cost, affordable housing schemes. For these scenarios, it's wise for us to use government bodies. Mostly government projects, they do not involve agents.
Looks like we need a crash course in differentiating scammers and legal property developers. Once again, let's hear what Datuk Chew has to say about this.
Real property developer is register their company with Ministry of Housing, where they have a developer license. Or if you want to buy a property, do not want to be cheated, you register with Lembaga Perumahan Hartanah Selangor or DPKL, or register through the website Prima Housing. When you register, then you will not be cheated by this scammer.
Thank you, Datuk Chew. You know the drill, ladies and gentlemen. If it's too good to be true, maybe it is. Better be safe than sorry.
Moving on, my pick for this week is the introduction of rental law in Malaysia. Believe it or not, Victor, there is no written law regarding tenancy in Malaysia. We have been making do with simple terms and conditions between landlords and tenants all this while. This leaves both parties involved in slightly skewed positions. Hence, Bank Negara has suggested the introduction of rental law in Malaysia.
Well, according to Second Finance Minister Datuk Seri Johari Abdul Ghani, the UK has a rental law that protects landlords and tenants. It provides a platform for them to voice their concerns. This ensures that both landlords and tenants do not abuse their positions or risk being blacklisted. In the long run, this will develop a more robust housing rental market.
We have Ivan Chan from Amir Toh Francis and Partners to emphasize on the need for rental law in Malaysia.
The question that may be raised is this: who is the one who decides what terms and conditions are to be inserted to the tenancy agreement. Now, we have doctrine in law called the doctrine of freedom of contract. This doctrine of freedom of contract will allow both the landlord and the tenant to provide for the terms and conditions that will govern their relationship under the tenancy agreement. It sounds well and good, but then the thing is that the party who has superior bargaining power will be able to insert such terms and conditions to protect his interests and his rights under the tenancy agreement. Whereas the interests and the rights of the party who has less bargaining power may not be so well protected. And this is one of the reasons why we may need specific law on tenant and landlord in Malaysia.
Thank you, Mr. Ivan Chan. Looks like we are in a dire need for rental law.
Regarding the necessity of rental law, the nature of non-paying tenants has been a constant problem for landlords since a very long time. Let's hear the experience of Mr. Heng Zi-Sun, a seasoned property investor who has been renting out his premises for many years.
As a landlord, one of the challenges I have is I cannot make sure that my tenant always pay the utility bill on time. Most of the time, my tenants are all very prompt payer for the rental. I basically don't really have to chase for the rental, but even the tenant that pay me promptly, I realize that about 50% of the time, they do not pay their utility bill on time. Now, sometimes, say for instance, TMB would have about an outstanding of about 4 months to 5 months or even 6 months. And TMB doesn't cut the electricity even with that many months of outstanding. So it is always a challenge for me to have to run up and down to go and check to ensure that they are paying the utility besides paying my rental on time.
Thank you, Mr. Heng. This is quite a revelation.
You know, Victor, not only Mr. Heng, I would also benefit from this rental law. After signing the tenancy agreement with my landlord, I had trouble contacting him. According to the agreement, the unit comes with a microwave oven. Guess what? It's been 2 months and there's no microwave oven at my place yet.
Ouch. That reminds me of one of my colleagues. My friend had signed a rental contract with his landlord. Well, it was all right until one day when he actually came back and he saw the landlord doing something in his room. Now that's a strange thing, because what happened about privacy, you know? So he moved out after that. So we, in a situation like this, a robust rental law would have been much more better. It make a big difference in the long run.
Agreed. Before we end the reel for today, we would like to bring your attention to last week's reel hosted by Pauline and Hakim, who talked about fire safety standards.
Looks like we still have a long way to go, ladies and gentlemen. A recent outbreak in a religious school in Kapar on Monday afternoon is proof enough that fire safety standards in Malaysia is still very low.
You can view the full episode by clicking the link above. And with that,
this is the end of the reel. This episode is produced by Pauline and Pamela.
Like our Facebook page to keep up with all things real. I'm Tharmini.
And I'm Victor Chong.
See you next time.